calling the meeting to order. We have a quorum this evening. Absent tonight is Noah Botley and Rachel Morris. I believe that puts us at 6 of 7, with Danny filling in. Are there any additions or adjustments to the agenda?
I don't have any. Brian, do you have any?
None. Nope.
Okay. Move on to consent the agenda. Approve minutes of September 18th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any further discussions on it? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions?
One. Wasn't here.
501. There are no action items this evening. Oh, I'm sorry, audience with the public. There was no one that signed up. Is there anyone here who would like to speak? Okay. There are no action items this evening, so we will move right on to other items.
All right. Does everybody have a piece of paper in front of them? Say, top of the heading is Facilities Transportation for 16 October. All right, great. Before I get into this, I just wanted to acknowledge we have Myrna Sol Robbins here, who was the driver in Washington. And so she may have a couple of things to add on the transportation side as I work down through them. So we had our fifth Waldoboro bus started operating yesterday. So that was, the driver went through our internal training program and got licensed, and so far so good. It seems from looking at getting off the roads is a little bit earlier now.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. We have bus right active in 2 buses, bus 2 and bus 3. Bus 3 is our new driver. Bus 2 is Leslie Carew, who was new to us since last year. We have that up and operating. We've definitely run into some challenges with that, getting it fielded. We were not anticipating as much. We thought we'd be able to download out of Infinite Campus most of the student data, but unfortunately, most of the data isn't necessarily accurate in Infinite Campus, which is creating a fairly significant amount of work for Sarah Davis, who is basically hand thumping everything into as far as all the data and stuff. With that said, on the 2 buses that it's deployed on, I'm extremely happy with the product, and Julia has it as well.
I will second that. I mean, we used it yesterday morning, was the first time it was active, and we could see the bus. A parent called in like, where's my bus? Did I miss it? And we could say, just look at it right there and say, nope, it's almost at your house. And for us too, the parent information, the contact information is right there in bus right. So if we have to call a parent, we don't have to like change into Infinite Campus. So I think it's gonna be a really great tool for us. Cool. And I thank Sarah for doing all that work.
Yeah, so she's been working really hard on this. So yeah, kudos to you, Sarah. Thank you very much.
Can I add to that? I think part of what added, or correct me if I'm wrong, so much time to Sarah's is the amount of parents who aren't updating their information in IC. There are, Myrna, who's driven for, practically the same route for many, many, many years. She probably knows her kiddos, but if you're a new driver, you don't, and she may be picking a kid up at 10 Smith Street, and the kid shows an IC that he lives in Waldoboro. I mean, Myrna would never know that, because So I think this really emphasized to us the importance of that happening every year. And I know as a parent, it's super easy to just hit next every year when I get that notification, but people really need to look at what's in there and is that accurate.
Do you foresee this being a little more streamlined as more buses are being implemented?
Once we get the database built out, from there, next year, for instance, it'll be much easier, because it'll just be moving, say, the 5th graders at Miller that are going to 6th grade, we'll move them on to the high school, middle school run, and then we'll just be adding any new students. So it'll become easier. This is definitely the the long pole and the 10 as far as the work goes.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that it's gonna be easy peasy, but it will certainly be easier. And,
Sure.
this is one of those, the juice is definitely gonna be worth a squeeze. I mean, the usability of this, the drop-down screens with all the critical data you have on it. The screen that you see is a map, you can see all the stop points, you can see the bus actually going, that updates every 5 seconds, it's pretty awesome. And you can see which stops they've been at, how long until the next stop, and then every stop below that, it gives estimated pickup times. And as
Parents
I.
will see that eventually too, right?
Correct, which was what I was gonna bring up to next, is that, I think that the best way to do this is a staggered deployment. Both of the bus right, tablets on the buses, as well as the apps to the parents. And so we've got 2 already on Miller, we're gonna finish that out, get Miller up and running, and probably at that point, we'll start getting apps out to the parents at Miller while we're deploying the tablets onto the bus from the next school. And stagger it out a little bit, and that'll be some lessons learned that way, that hopefully we will be able to, truncate the process with each school after we go through it, is what the hope is.
And you said this is like if there's not a bus driver available, it will combine routes for another driver?
There is an ability where we can build out routes in the absence of a bus driver. We can build out routes for that, to have those ready and in place. So, for instance, bus 2 is out, Leslie Crew is out, we would have routes built out for that. Given the amount of time that we're putting into getting this done, I think that probably deployment of that ability is gonna take a little longer than I had first given you. But it is certainly out there, and those capabilities are being used in other school districts. And there will certainly become a time when we're gonna be able to do that.
Yeah.
And someday, maybe we'll even have some substitute drivers, so we won't have to worry about
Right.
consolidating routes. We can actually just have the sub-driver come on and get on the bus, turn on their tablet, and off they go.
Yeah.
But I haven't ridden on the bus, Sarah's
Mama's
actually
just
been on the
giggling.
bus before, the last couple of days riding. And it's pretty, I mean, turn left here, turn right, you got a student stop coming up in 500 feet, and so it's very user-friendly.
Yeah. Excellent.
I think for the bus drivers that know the routes, it's not gonna be a lot of application for them. It's for the schools and it's for the parents ultimately. But I think again that it's gonna be a really good product for the schools and for the parents to be able to manage that. And as I tell the drivers, the one thing that it's gonna be good for them is that they're not gonna be there won't be as much radio traffic from schools saying, hey, where are you? Where are your relationship to this student? Have you been by this student's address before, yet? Because they'll be able to follow it right on the map.
Parents actually downloading the new app?
We haven't put the app out, and so what will happen is when we get ready to, for instance, Miller, we will send the parents, the contacts that is listed for each student on the Miller run for all 5 of our buses. Bus Right sends that invitation out to them, and then they set up their account, and then they're tied to their student, and they get updates on that student.
Is that just Miller or also middle school and high school, just Waldeboro?
It will be, so each school will get their own download of, parents will get it, so if a parent has a student at Miller and a student at the high school,
Yeah,
they will be getting 2 different notifications.
interesting.
Yeah. But one of the things we found, one of the hiccups, and I was talking to Maggie Massengale, who's the transportation director in Camden, is that a lot of the people who are gonna become what I would call the administrators, access to the system, be able to look at it, all of that are also parents, guardians, or emergency contacts in the system. So they're already in the Bus Right system as a parent, guardian, or emergency contact. And so now turning them into being an administrator of the Bus Right product, you'd think that would be something that they have worked out, but as of right now, they have yet to do that, or at least Bus Right hasn't shared that secret with us, and so we're working our way through that as well. So, there, like I said, there are definitely some hiccups, but I do think that the juice is gonna be worth the squeeze in the long run.
Yeah.
So as far as personnel, right, as of right now, we are looking for, we have one more vacancy for a bus driver in Warren. We have a vacancy for the MCST bus driver. That's currently being, done by Loose Transportation. So the biggest impact on that is to my budget, because it's significantly more expensive to outsource transportation than it is to handle it with an internal driver. So we're obviously keen to fill that spot, but for right now, we don't have one. And then the final spot was the friendship driver. As a reminder, David St. Peter, who was also the head custodian at Miller School, has been driving that route now for 3+ years. So the route's being covered. The real impact to us is that he is, we're putting a maintenance person at Miller to cover down in the morning until David arrives at, 9 o'clock, a little after 9 o'clock.
He can't be in two places at once?
Not so far, not so far. But I don't think that that's a huge problem. Normally, for the most part, we've been able to have a maintenance person available. And if not, I give Julia a call in advance and let her know that, hey, you're not gonna have anybody. Give us a call if something happens. And knock on wood, so far, we have not had any incidents that have not been able to be handled.
I have a question about MCST bus driver. Is that, a different time than, doesn't
Yes.
it leave the school after, like, when school starts?
The
Or-
elementary run is going on when the MCST bus is operating. The Loose only delivers, one of our bus drivers actually goes and brings them back. So, they're not going both directions.
Got it.
I just, if I, can I, sorry.
Please.
I just wanted to take a minute to quickly acknowledge Brian, because I've dealt with more busing in the last couple of months than I have in the last 20 years. Part of it's our geographic location, the size and the complexities of transporting kids this many miles to school every day. And I think that it's just really important for everyone to understand, like, the level of hard work that Sarah and Brian put into. At one point I said to Brian, Brian, I think the world of you, but you can't drive a bus and clean. He can't be two places at once. Because he's running to one school at 3 o'clock to clean until 6, and then getting up and driving a van in the morning because we don't have a driver. So I just wanted to thank Brian and Sarah for everything that they do publicly, because it really is, there's above and beyond, and then there's the way they are. So it really means a lot to the kids, and it often, we were talking about this one student, and turns out that Brian was trying so hard to help the kid get to school that he was literally bending over backwards, and the parent was frustrated, and I'm like, they don't see what he's doing for them. Do you know what I'm saying? So once we explained it, they were fine. But I think it's just really important for everyone to understand how hard they're working to get everyone to school every day. Like, it's hard when you're down, 6 custodians and a couple of bus drivers. It's one thing to say that, it's another thing to realize what it takes to get the buildings cleaned, and the whole team is stepping up. So it's Brian and Sarah, and it's the whole team. Like, bus drivers have volunteered to be ed techs at Miller. So they drive their run, they go to Miller and help out, and then they go back and do their run because Miller was short ed techs, and so everyone it's just an example of the thing that I see as the new person, the outsider, which I know I would be. I'm from Millinocket. If you weren't born there, you never were an insider, So I know that I could be here for a long time and still be an outsider, but objectively, I've really never seen anything like it. It's really, really cool, and it's important to recognize that people's team mentality to help the kids is special. I don't know how else to put it. So thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian and Sarah. We really appreciate you. Brian's turning red. 'Cause he
There's
doesn't
a lot
like
of hard workers in the transportation and facilities department,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of room to share that, for sure.
Thanks.
The other positive, the last final note for transportation, on a positive note, is we've got a new bus that will be arriving next month. And so that will be replacing bus 17, it's a Waldeboro bus. And that's an ongoing, as we continue to turn over the bus fleet and replace old with new. So that's the newest one that'll be coming.
Do we still usually get about new buses a year?
This past year, we did one bus and vans because, I don't know if, well, you were here when they initially started having vans. They bought 5 in 1 year, and the downside of that is 5 age, around the same time. Not entirely true in that some do out of district, some stayed in district, but we had, Brian, did we have 1 or 2 that dropped transmission? So I mean, we've just had some kind of catastrophic events, so we need to replace a few more vans. Originally, the task that Steve gave me was to have the buses be 10 years, no more than 10 years old, and the vans to be between 5 and 7. But Ernie usually looks at 10 years and miles because some, obviously, in Waldeboro are picking up a lot of kids but staying in a smaller area, whereas someone like Myrna is covering a lot of miles. So we kind of do both. I think overall, I'd say our buses are in good shape, wouldn't you, Brian, as far as we're replacing them?
We're getting there, for sure,
The
yes.
vans, I think we're gonna we may run into a few problems with a few of the older ones.
Thank you.
We're catching up anyway.
Yeah, I was just, let's see if I can find it here. I was gonna give some information on Myrna's run, but I can't
And it will
remember
shock you to know
exactly
that buses
how
are
to
cheaper
find it here.
than they used to be.
But 26 stops. I thought I had mileage on here somewhere that shows it, but I don't. And I can see, distance, total distance. So on her high school run, she's doing 40 miles, 41 miles, 26 stops. Does that sound about right, Myrna?
Probably about 152 miles a day.
Yeah.
For
So
all one.
That's just one bus.
it adds up.
There's 14 of them, right?
There are 15 routes,
Yes.
plus the
Yeah,
two
well,
littles,
plus we got little buses,
two littles and all
we've
the,
got the,
all the handicap vans now.
we got those, we've also got the bus for here, Rams bus, so we've
Well, I'm
got,
just wondering if my calculation of here to Los Angeles in 1 day is not enough.
yeah, I think
No, I
that
just
we're
wanted-
pretty safe on that, but I'll be able to give you some pretty hard
All right,
data
good, I
on that
can't wait to
pretty
see
soon.
that.
So continuing on down, unless there's any questions, any additional questions regarding transportation, I'll slide on down and continue with facilities. So we had mentioned previously about some vacancies that we have in the facilities department. As of right now, we have we're down 3 night custodians at the high school, a head custodian at Warren, and 2 night custodians. As of tomorrow, we will actually have our Warren Community School head custodian, will be starting tomorrow. We got his CHRC back today, and so excited to get him on the books. Unfortunately, after tomorrow, we will be losing an additional custodian, night custodian at Madomic Middle School, and also losing one of our district-wide maintenance technicians, AJ Lemaster, who has been covering at Warren as the head custodian there. So we're gaining one, but we're losing some as well. We do have some others that are pending hire once they pass the CHRC. We have a night custodian at the high school. We have a part-time, 25 hours a week, district-wide substitute custodian. And we have 2 applications that we received yesterday that we're working on getting in for interviews. So, now I will tell you that not every application we get necessarily ends in a hire for any number of reasons. But we do have some applicants that are available, and we'll be sitting down and talking with them and seeing if it's a good fit for us and a good fit for them, so.
I have a question. What are your top two avenues to let people know that we're hiring?
We have been doing advertisement in the paper is probably our top one. We have it on the marquee on Route 1. And we have serving schools, although I don't know how effective that is, because if you're not a school teacher, serving schools isn't necessarily is not probably somewhere that most custodians would go unless they've worked in a school district before.
We do put it on our website, but obviously you'd have to go out to our website, to see that.
It's also been on Facebook.
Yeah.
True, it is on our website.
I pushed hard on Facebook.
Yeah, I know that some of the towns have their faces of whatever, but they seem to be really active. It seems to, I know I'm not a big fan of, but it seems to
Yeah.
really get a lot of eyeballs.
I think that we should, Brian and I will talk, we'll come up with another
Yeah.
Facebook post to push out in Parent Square, because what I found with the ed techs this fall, when they did come close to filling it worked. The ed techs, they're really close to filling that up, so we went from 12 openings to I think 2. Julie, am I right? Are you down to,
And she has 4.
We have, yeah.
you have more openings right now? It's a lot better than it was. We've come a long way. It's just hard, and part of it really is, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's pay. Because we have a fixed collective bargaining agreement, we can't negotiate pay. We have to pay them what the collective bargaining agreement is, which is fine. We work in a unionized environment. It's just the fact that it's a very competitive market, right? It really is. And so,
We have talked about having an RSU 40 Facebook page. A lot of the schools have their own, but having an RSU 41, I don't know how we delineate, like say facility stuff and finance stuff, but as far as, I think it would be helpful.
Because I looked that up. I wanted to see if there was a RSU 40.
There isn't. There's like one at the high school that's quite active. Warren, I don't think uses one, but their PTO or PTA or, and perhaps Union has one, but not all the schools use theirs. But I think a district-wide one, that obviously only some people can, like, don't give me access kind of thing. But that we could put official stuff on, like jobs.
and I talked to Matt Kapishke about that. I just need to follow up. I agree with Karen, we need to do that. Me having a page is helpful for me, but there should be an RSU 40 page that is, on all the different town pages, connected to everyone. It's a really good idea.
Matt and I are talking about that. Once the fog of war at the beginning of the school year has lifted,
Thank you.
we can look at
Yep.
things like
Yep.
social media, and we do have some contracted supports for that, so.
Okay.
I will say that talking to other facilities directors, transportation directors, this is much like we've talked about the nationwide shortage in bus drivers. There is definitely having a similar problem with custodians, for sure. I was talking again, Maggie Massengale at Camden. They certainly have a significant shortage of custodians as well. And so it's an ongoing problem. Not suggesting that we shouldn't try to get as many people as we can, but it's definitely a bit of an uphill battle, for sure.
How many, how many night custodians are normally at the high school? It says you are looking for 3, so how many?
4,
So you just have 1 right now?
we have 1.
Yeah, what Brian didn't emphasize with Warren is the head custodian, the 2 custodians is all the custodians. That's all.
At Warren.
That's all of
Yeah.
Warren.
Nobody was there,
Well,
Well, Brian's been there.
but
there's still, AJ's still subbing for now. Right?
AJ is there, tomorrow was his last day with the district, so, the new head custodian will get about a half a day with him, tomorrow, which will help a little bit. I mean, obviously, there's gonna be a train up for the new guy, gonna have to get our Siemens technician in, show him around the boiler room. A lot of it, he's done this stuff before, so some of it is not gonna come as a big learning curve. But, just learning the school, knowing where everything is, there's a little bit to it for sure. And so there'll be a little bit of a turn up. I wish we had a little bit more time. Our head custodian at Prescott, I was able to have him spend about a week with, down at Miller School with David St. Peter. Kind of getting schooled up on some of on the chemicals, all the equipment that we use, that sort of stuff. And is now getting about a 3-day turnover at Prescott as well. So, you know, that, in a perfect world, that's the kind of thing that we'd be able to do. This one, we're not necessarily in a perfect world, so we'll be doing training on the job, and I'll get Larry Jensen, for instance, who's one of our maintenance guys. I'll have him go there during the day and spend time with him, on some of the stuff. Larry's familiar with the school. And then obviously, Justin and Scott, are certainly, will be able to provide a lot of information as well. So I don't anticipate that the curve we'll get that squared away pretty quickly. The night custodians continue to be a challenge. It's not a secret that I put the elementary schools first. If we've got a shortage of custodians, it's usually the high school that takes the brunt of it. And then the middle school and so on. The problem that we're running into now is, for instance, Larry Jensen spends about 4 hours a day at Madomic Valley High School. We're quickly getting to that time of the year where Larry's gonna have, you know, snow and ice removal and treatment and those kinds of things. So he'll be doing salt treatments in the mornings, potentially salt treatments in the afternoon. So his time starts getting eaten up pretty fast. And the same with Richard, the other maintenance guy. So filling that position is very important to me, because they kind of they can fill a lot of different roles, a little flexibility wise. Where are we? Warren, Community School Playground replacement is gonna be happening at the end of this month. As you recall, you approved a donation from a local organization that'll be paying for about a little more than half of that cost. And for anybody who walked up the sidewalk coming into you might have seen a new slide sitting in the grass. That is gonna be replacing one of the slides here at Union on the playground that was broken. So, looking forward to that and getting that done. And finally, wanted to talk a little bit about where we stand on the Madomic Valley High School capital construction and the planning we're going into that. We have a revolving renovation applications, as I have said previously. That's for $2 million per project, $4 million per school is what you can apply up to. And you get some of that, loan is forgiven by the state. It's managed by the Department of Education. About half of that loan will be forgiven automatically, and then the rest of that can be forgiven as well. As you pay into it for a little while, then they can forgive another 20 or 25%, and the loan itself is a zero interest. So it's definitely something that we wanna try to take advantage of. Given the priorities that they have put this year, we're gonna be focusing on asbestos and the water, pardon me, the water treatment and storage at the high school, which are both pretty heavy hitters. And we've gotta have that information in by the 31st of this month, which should not pose any problem. Ann Ketterer, who is the architect that we've been working with, she has been in at the high school a number of times. Most recently Monday, she and I went through, and she was getting some closer examination of some of the asbestos tiles and getting some photographs to include in the application. And then following our time, she sat down with Linda Pease, and I think that this is either the second or third meeting that she's had with Linda, talking about improvements, things that would help the functionality of the school, and seeing how this all is gonna work. And then also in regards to the asbestos, we have an every 3-year inspection of our asbestos as part of, it's a requirement that we have. We had ours done on the 24th. I'm gonna contact our contractor that does that, Eastern Skies, and have him come in and try to do some specific testing to see the full scope of the asbestos that we have in the ventilation systems. and make sure that we have that we have a really good hold on that. And pending questions, that completes,
The pictures that were being taken, Brian, was she taking pictures of the floor tile?
floor tile.
She was not up in with the air?
We were not up in the ceiling, no. No. Because it's pretty hard to discern the difference, in a picture. So, that'll be that we're gonna try to get a written report that's very specific to the, insulation piece from Eastern Skies, and we'll have that available as well.
Okay.
When we, get through this process and we have a plan and we know, say we get to this whole renovation and everything, what is the plan for the students? Like, I'm assuming this isn't gonna be able to be completed during a summer. This sounds like,
It'll be staggered, for sure. The biggest problem is gonna be asbestos abatement,
Right.
because nobody can be in the school.
right,
So that'll be the biggest challenge, and so we will likely, as much as I hate to do things and spread out over time, because deployment, having them deploy, mobilize into a building, that costs money. But we will not be able to do, say, for instance, an asbestos tile abatement all in 1 year, or else we wouldn't have time to get the building ready for students, or the back of the, to come back in. So I would assume, depending on how big of a scope, of work and the taxpayers' support of, a bond and capital improvements, I would expect that would probably be about a 5-year evolution
okay,
of actually conducting the work. Some of it would be able to be done, for instance, when we had the LED lights installed, a lot of that work was happening at night. But a lot of this it would be far more problematic to do at night, but anything that we can chip away at, we will certainly, would try to do it as much as night and get stuff done so that it doesn't impact the education side.
yep.
Will there be a separation on the price tag between dealing with abating the floor and abating the air system?
Absolutely. Yeah, my intent is to come to you with the list of proposed ideas and the costs for those, and then obviously, as we go through this process, I'm hoping that we will, as our community engagements, we will have a kind of an idea of what everybody, what their appetite is gonna be, for tax increase, and then figuring out what we can do, and then prioritizing from there. But, the list is big. I'm not gonna, as everybody has heard, I mean, the list at the high school is big. And we're probably, if, based on what's happened over the last 25 years, I mean, we're certainly at least another 25 years and maybe significantly longer than that before we're gonna get a new high school. Unless financing, budgeting, unless there's a huge influx of money into the state level capital construction fund. The problem with that is every year, just the cost of construction goes up. So every year you do it, it becomes more expensive to do it.
I think to that point, Brian and I have talked a lot recently about one of the things that's happened is everyone, I think for quite a while here in the communities has been hoping that eventually we would move up the list and have state funding for a new high school. And so that's not unrealistic, it seems obvious when you see the building. And I think that what we're coming to grips with is that there's no white knight. We have to figure this out together as a community. And so he's just trying to say like, this, I think it would be fair to say that, I've had some great conversations. I was at Prescott the other night and these two folks kind of nicely cornered me and asked me a lot of questions. And I just said, these are great questions. If you'd like to have coffee at the Washington General Store and bring 4 or 5 people, I'd be happy to sit down and talk. But the bottom line is, we have to figure out what to do because it's hurting, the kids need a better building. So it's not good for them and it's not good for the communities because it affects your real estate values. So you have to look at this as not just any one, it's like having a music mixing board or a stereo console. You don't want to just turn up the bass or the treble. You need to equalize everything so you get the right frequencies and you hear it all. And the truth is that there's a lot of dynamics to this that affect the tax rates, the revenue, people who move in, future enrollments. Our enrollments are declining. Well, if you come here to buy a house and you go and visit the high school, you're gonna, maybe I'll move next door. It affects you. It affects us. And so it's not just any one aspect or parameter of this issue that we wanna look at. People kind of got stuck on the accreditation thing. I'm like, that's important, but that's not the point. The point is to help. It's one of the most important things that a community can do to support the future of the community is to have a quality high school. And so I just want everyone to understand that it's for the kids and the community. It's not either or, it's and. Right, it's for everybody. So Brian's right though, like, I was really surprised when it came out 52, that we're 52 on the list. I mean, that is like a long way away. I think he's being very generous when he says 25 years, but he's right that if the state had an influx of money for some reason, then that may change, but I don't see that happening, realistically. Is that pretty accurate, Brian?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
as some of you may remember, Karen and I actually went up and met with the committee that did the inspections of the schools. And I mean, the head of it, head of the committee, looked at us and said, hey, look, the bottom line is your high school, comparatively speaking, is in not bad shape, which is a pretty staggering statement. There was a recent article in the paper, and I can't remember which paper it was, but there was a DOE person that was quoted that out of the 600 schools in the state, 500 of them need significant capital construction and improvements that are being done, so.
500 in the next 25 years. will be
Yes,
done.
that's right, yeah.
Out of 600.
Be replaced.
Well, you figure they're doing less than 10 every 7 years. And what we learned from meeting with the gentleman, and actually there was women on the board as well. So I forget it was 9 last time. How many did they pick this time, Brian? We're still not sure, right?
Yeah, they haven't finished it, but they're.
Right, so we know who's in the top 10. We don't know how many of those they're gonna finance, but of those, 5 weren't even on the list last time because they had something catastrophic like their building burned down or whatever. So, and from this list to the last list, 20 more schools are on it. So the list is growing as well as the fact we're not moving others. I suspect I'll be dead.
Yeah, I think that one of the problems with the
I
current
would
list
say.
that is still being fine tuned is one of the schools high on the list is the Portland High School and.
Deering too.
Well, so the rumor that they're talking about is consolidating all of the I think it's 3 high schools in
Three of
Portland.
them.
Yeah.
Plus a MCST type building as well.
It's called Penn.
And, I mean, that's gonna be a $500 million
Yeah.
building.
Free.
Well, $500 million is, you know, that's 5 or 6 other schools that they could have been building, depending on if they're building high schools, elementary schools. Elementary schools for the most part now are still staying under the $100 million range unless they, you know, unless they're doing a lot of add-ons to it.
And one of the schools, at least one from the last list 7 years ago, hasn't broken ground yet.
Yes.
So on top of the new list, they haven't even finished the last list.
That's encouraging.
Right? So just because, even if we made it to the top of the list, we don't know how long it would be.
It's like 7 high schools even above us, so they're all southern Maine ones. You got like Brunswick on there, Marana Cook is on there, well, you got Prescott, but, yeah. And what Brian said, you got both Portland and Deering high schools that are above us, so.
I think one of the other problems from this, not the current list, but the previous one, is that it was released prior to COVID. And all the pricing that they had attached to those schools was pre-COVID money.
Yeah.
And then when it got to the execution phase, they realized that it was gonna be 50% more to build. And one of the big challenges, for instance, Wyndham, I think, Wyndham's been fairly highly popularized as that $150 million school, middle school they're building, of which $50 million the local economy is absorbing. So when the state builds a school, the only thing they build is educational-based space. So they are gonna build you a gym for gym class, they are not gonna build an auditorium. There is a lot of things that, for instance, a high school needs to have, I mean, to operate, but the state does not do that. So in order, if you want that, that is being paid for and absorbed by the local economy. And we saw that most recently in Madomic Middle School, where you were gonna get one size gym and the taxpayers voted to go to the full-sized, high school gym, and they absorbed the additional costs of that. Scout Hegan just recently built their elementary school, which is the
super school.
The super school, the 8 weeks to 5th grade. So that one, they did not add anything onto it, just that they didn't want to absorb any additional cost. So that's the other part of this whole, equation that'll be another part of it, if and when our time ever comes. And, no, it's also worth noting that Miller was higher on that list than the high school was. So there's a chance that we might have an opportunity to do an elementary school before we do a high school.
Much older.
Parts of it are, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the oldest part of your building, Julia?
1953,
It always sounds like it is.
Yeah.
that's the original building. The last addition was 1993.
And that was a while ago now too, wasn't it?
I'm in denial, it's only 15 years.
Yeah. So,
I was listening to Pearl Jam yesterday.
E-53s were not born.
I bring that up because there's no question the high school needs to be the focus. There's no doubt about that. But I just don't want everybody to lose, the fact that the other schools need work as well. There's no question about that, so. But, I'm sorry.
No, if you had a thought you wanted to finish.
No, I was gonna say that kind of completed
Oh.
pending any questions.
I wanted to ask you, Brian, and maybe legal issues get in the way of this, but I was curious. I took a tour of the high school last week with Linda and walking around, and obviously there's a lot of big ticket items that are wrong, you know, that need to be fixed. But I was curious, are we able to accept volunteers who want to do stuff? I mean, I'm a carpenter and a painter by trade, that's what I do, and like walking around through some of the classrooms, it would be spruced right up with a paint job. Can we let people who want to help, who are experienced, I understand like electrical and plumbing, you can't do that,
Right.
but.
So, there is a volunteer program in the schools. It's on the education side, is my understanding, that you can have volunteers. I'm assuming we could certainly do that. I was actually just looking at the policy, and surprisingly enough, I don't think that board members can volunteer at the schools. Didn't I see that in the policy?
No, they
Yeah,
can.
I'd have to look at the language again, but
Yeah.
I did look into it some when Mr. White was working on getting things set up to do the walking trail here at Union
Right.
Elementary School. And there are forms for, say, even, you know, someone who does bulldozing for a living but can do it voluntarily.
Yeah, of
And I
course.
don't remember all the specifics, I mean, there are forms that need to be signed and that kind of thing.
Yep.
Obviously, like you said, electrician, plumbing, things you have to have licenses for.
Yeah, certainly, but I mean,
But I believe Brian is right, there's something about board members and volunteering.
I thought we
well, we're
cleared
gonna
that
have to
up
bring that
last.
up to be amended.
Well, I
We
thought
just-
we did that
Well,
last year,
Maybe
I
you
was
did.
kind of
because I
astounded
was
by
like,
it
ah, I
when
wanna
read
be
it.
able to volunteer.
Yeah.
I think it's, I'd have to look at the policy to make sure, but I
Yeah.
think it's, no.
I apologize, I shouldn't have even brought it up, because I can't remember the full
I
scope.
might be wrong, but I think
See
you
that?
can volunteer, but you can't be in charge of.
Right,
Right,
You can't be in
Yes.
charge of
a program,
Sure,
the
right.
program.
sure,
or get paid.
yeah,
Obviously.
certainly.
Can't be a
That
stipend
wouldn't
or
want
anything
to
like
be-
that.
No,
That's
but
against the point, but, yeah, I just didn't know to what extent, you know, if someone wanted to volunteer, what they would be allowed to do, like walking out through the horticulture section, you know, I mean, you could chuck a cat out through those doors.
Absolutely.
I could have them swapped out in 6 hours and done. Like, is that something that people are able to do, or is there a cutoff?
Yes, yeah, and we even have, some of our vendors volunteer
Yeah.
jobs, for instance. We had some work done at Miller that was volunteered, some outside, construction work that was donated, rather, the work and the cost was donated.
So Nicole's right, I don't know when the policy was updated last, the October of '24, but it says volunteer activities of a member of RSU 40's board or a member's spouse, other than enrolls as prohibited by this section, which is this, stuff above, may be prescribed by policies developed and approved by the board. So I don't know if we'd have to come up with something else.
Yep, thank you.
To piggyback on what, I would love to educate the public about the Madomic Valley High School. I don't know how, I don't know. I know in the past, when the big bond, there was a lot of educating of the public, and I think there's a tremendous amount of people that they love this area and that would want to volunteer,
Absolutely.
that would want to get involved if there's a way that we can educate people to let them know what's going on at Madomic, and to let them know that we're not going to get a new high school. We're not going to get a new high school, and we've got them, and it's up to RSU 40, the community, to make this work. And I'm not saying I have the answers, and I don't know when would be the appropriate time, but at some point, I would love to try to educate people.
Yeah,
One of the things that we learned from the failed bond here a couple of years ago was that the community engagement, as much as we tried, it was not successful. And Dr. Ambrose this afternoon was talking about, meeting people where they are and shooting a video of the high school and posting that on social media to allow people to see it from the confines of their lazy boy, which I think is a really good idea. And I think that, unfortunately, that's what it's gonna take. We offered 2 tours of each school during the bond. And I think that
There was
Yeah.
less than 10 people at every one of them,
Yes.
and half of those 10 were us.
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm not surprised, but I feel like that is what it's gonna take. It's social media. I don't do Facebook, but it works for certain,
right.
I think for certain things, it's very powerful.
I wonder if you could, after you know the investment from the taxpayers, you choose the list of the highest priorities of whatever we're choosing to do, and then whatever is things that, we can put a list together, a volunteer list, and send it out, people could sign up to say, I'll do this and this and this and this.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people out there that would help, a lot of people.
Yeah, there's no shortage of tradesmen in this area.
No.
I mean, they're all over the place.
And a lot of them really like to give back to the community. They really do,
Have kids in the school system?
right?
Yep, absolutely.
I was approached by the 2 men at Washington. They asked the same question. And I said, I think that there are parts that have to be done by bonded, insured folks that
Yeah,
are
of course.
hired and paid for. And then there are probably some other things that we could accept volunteer help for. And I think he's trying to figure out the
Yeah.
in-between. Because I certainly love the idea of having people help, right? I just don't know where the lines are
Right.
around liability.
Right.
So we have to figure that out.
That's what I was curious myself.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, a lot of it is common sense. We're not gonna play with electrical and plumbing.
Exactly.
Can we do
Yeah,
carpet?
yeah, yeah.
Can we do
But if the
paint?
mudding's done and the walls are smooth and people wanna roll, paint.
Yeah,
Let's
I
do it.
know.
Yes, Melvin, I caught myself. I said roll paint.
Yep, thank you.
Tim, the first place, Tom's office.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's fine.
Yes, Bert.
Because as,
I might even buy the paint.
Yeah.
basically how the policy reads is basically if you wanted to volunteer for something, you could, as long as it's strictly timed. So you wouldn't be able to go, next April during tax season and say, hey, I volunteered so many hours, or I gave this in-kind donation to the school. That you can't, because then you're having a monetary benefit.
Right.
But if you went just there to volunteer, just straight hours with no monetary benefit, then a board member could. That's basically what the policy reads.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yep. Are you all set, sir?
That's it for me.
Thank you,
Yes, thank you very much.
thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Is there anything else anybody wants to discuss? Any other comments?
Well, in Brian's tenure here, we've seen a lot of great things happen. And before that, we saw a lot of nothing happening. Or in my eyes, that's the way it was. You know, we'll collect a check and things will take care of themselves. Well, I don't know how when he sleeps. I don't know when he sleeps. Maybe
He doesn't know.
Maybe he's one of them guys that, you know, he gets a cat nap here and a cat nap there and he keeps on going. Because you can, 4 o'clock in the morning, snowing, he's on the phone, waking Karen up, so.
Probably me.
And, it'll be Tom now that's gonna get telephone calls, cause he's trying to move some of the pressures around.
I think my predecessors, if given the same funding through COVID, I think that probably other people would have had equal success to me. I think there was a lot of money that was available, and that's what allowed us to get a lot of stuff done.
It certainly didn't hurt.
Yeah.
Everybody good? It is 6:21, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.